Yo, what's good, YouTube? This is Jay from TNJ, and welcome to our second offseason here in the Houston Oilers franchise. This season was a lot of fun, and we got to see, some growth from our young players, but we have a lot of work to do to get to the playoffs, and that is going to be the goal for next season. We finished 9-8 in season 1, 8-9 in season 2. But we did have a rookie of the year this year, seeing that Dave Washington, who was one of our linebackers, he ends up getting it after a 7.5 sack season. Now, looking at our team right now, we are 80 on offense, 79 on defense, 79 overall, with $130 million in cap. Now, our goal is to get under the $50 million threshold. That's usually what teams do, so we are going to adhere to those rules. And also, we want to make sure that we have a good coaching staff for what we're bringing in this offseason. Now, a couple of things. I think I want to bring in an offensive coordinator that has a quarterback skill tree so that if we get a young quarterback in the draft, we can help develop him. And looking at our defense, I want to kind of get a defensive coordinator that will help with our man. So we will fire both of our offensive and defensive coordinators. Even though the offensive didn't really deserve it, I want to hire somebody that just makes sense. So we will hire Jamie Rodriguez and inherit his offensive playbook. So we will run with the Las Vegas Raiders playbook. And looking at his coaching tree, he has the pocket passing tree, which you can see there are a lot of things like boosting medium accuracy, boosting, throw under pressure, boosting catching from wide receivers, things to help out the quarterback. So we will definitely be doing that. Then we will be hiring Jackson Pierce as our defensive coordinator. And he has a lot of man secondary skills and a lot of blitzes, as well as, some of those defensive line gurus also. So here's what we are going to do here in the offseason. We will have time markers in this description, so I highly suggest you don't miss a thing, but we will make sure to go through everything in the offseason. But looking at the mock draft, we have 2 draft picks, which we will highlight later in this episode. We have 2 in the first round. And looking at the top players in the draft, there is a lot of defensive players in the top 10. We have a running back in Dorian in the top 5, but besides him, not much from the offensive side of the ball, including quarterback. As you can see, there have been 5 linebackers in the top 11, a couple of cornerbacks. We have pick number 15, and we are projected to pick a left end. There is a couple of linebackers who I highlighted last episode during the recap, like Von Cross, like Eddie Lockridge, pass rushers that we want to definitely target in the draft, but we will see. We also have pick number 22, so we don't know what is gonna shake out. But in the mock draft to start the offseason, there are 0 quarterbacks in the first round. So we start here in the offseason at the re-sign phase, and there are a bunch of guys we have to re-sign, and obviously we will be paying some guys pretty well. We start with Jesse Fisher. We will pay him $7 million a year. So how about that pay raise? Goes from undrafted rookie, and he led our team in receiving touchdowns, but I want to lock him up for the near future. We signed him to a 3-year, $21 million deal, including his bonus. But he will be replacing Tutu Atwell fully now, and Atwell will hit free agency. I'm just not interested. He had 0 impact this past season, only 1 catch the entire year. Julian Aquaro, we will also let walk. He only had a half sack in season 2 with 2.5 in season 1. Not really worth, going after and re-signing. And then one guy that is a free agent that I have absolutely 0 chance of re-signing is Matt Hennessy. He was awful at guard. He allowed tons of pressures and kind of, contributed to DTR losing his job, I think. A lot of pressure given up. We do sign some other undrafted guys. Willie Wayne Jr., he was a pretty good third down back for us. He's our third string running back. Michael Wade was 6'5". I still want to get him some more playing time, so I'm very, very interested in him. Kamani Cooper, we tried to re-sign him, but he actually ends up hitting free agency. I'm pretty surprised by that, but he had low interest in re-signing. Walker Weston was a tight end that I really, really liked. He was on our practice squad. He played the last 2 games. He had a few catches. And then Casey Hitchcock was one of those defensive tackles that I did like, but we will actually end up, passing on him and going after another defensive tackle in the draft or free agency. Jeff Holiday was a practice squad quarterback. I obviously want to keep at least one practice squad quarterback on the roster. But one guy I am going to let go is Corliss Waitman, because he was a kind of a bad punter for us. And just looking at his net average, 38 and 38 yards in back-to-back seasons. I could definitely improve on that in free agency more than likely and get a better option. So now we look ahead to free agency, but before hitting free agency, we do want to address something in the room, and it's DTR, Dorian Thompson Robinson. He was our quarterback to start this series. We gave him about 1.5 years to really show us what he can do, and I think it's just not a good fit. We need to move on from him, and that's going to be the first order of business as far as roster building in the offseason. So we look at teams who need quarterbacks. 1 is the Packers and 2 is the Lions. Literally the number 1 and 2 draft picks in this draft. The Lions have the number 1 pick. The Packers have the number 2 pick, both looking for quarterbacks. But the Lions look like the better situation because they have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Amari Cooper they signed in free agency last offseason, Jamison Williams, and Donovan Peoples-Jones. He would have a lot of weapons with the Lions. And obviously, he's not going to go for the number 1 pick. But we are going to try for that round 2 pick number 33. It makes a lot of sense. Sam Darnold, look back at his trade when he got traded to the Carolina Panthers. He got traded for a second and a couple of other picks, and I think that this just makes sense. They get a young quarterback who is still under contract at age 25. They still have him locked up and very, very cheap, and it will get the deal done. So DTR is now a Detroit Lion, and just for reference, we do have the trade difficulty on hard. So I'm actually surprised that actually went through, because hard has been a pretty difficult difficulty to kind of execute trades on, but DTR is now a Detroit Lion. So we enter free agency, and let's just talk about our biggest needs. Well, we need interior offensive linemen, that's for sure. Both guards and possibly a tackle, because I think we could upgrade from Zach Tom at left tackle, but it's not necessarily the biggest need. And then we need interior defensive linemen. I thought we did not generate any pressure, but the biggest one is probably pass rush. We don't have any real true edge rushers, so I'm definitely going to be looking to add that in free agency and or the draft. And we do probably want to address safety at some point. We have Micah Hyde, but he played that nickel corner position. He also played safety, but I think that we can definitely improve in that area. So here are the top free agents. There are a couple of big ones, but this isn't like a huge class. But looking at the quarterbacks here, which we are interested in, Jared Goff is available and Justin Fields. Justin Fields is just so interesting. I really, really like his all-around ability. He has really good ratings, 81 overall. He is star development, still only 26 years old. In season 1, he had 20 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, a great year. He's just never thrown for over, 3,000 yards in his career. That's kind of crazy to me. He had 8 rushing touchdowns this year. Man, this is very, very intriguing. I look at the other quarterbacks in this free agency class. Jordan Love is also there. He's in his mid-20s. Baker Mayfield is 30 years old. Trey Lance is there, and he is very, very interested. Zach Wilson is there. I'm not really interested in Zach Wilson, though. But we will revisit that a little bit later and see who's available. But one thing that the owner wants to add is some star power. He said, hey, make sure you find either your franchise quarterback or a star player that will get butts in the seats. And who else better than DeAndre Hopkins? Played for the Houston Texans, had his best years in Houston, and the fans would greatly welcome him back. Obviously, it's with a different organization, but he is very, very well known to this city, very, very popular, and I think that bringing him in would be a move, and I think that this would move the needle for this organization. So I will offer him a 2-year. It will be $32 million a year, including that bonus, $16 million a year, and see if he will commit. And like I said, I want to get under that $50 million salary cap, and that move will be a lot of money spent for the first offer of the offseason. The second offer I want to make is bringing back Robert Tonyan. I definitely missed him in season 2. I think that security blanket DTR definitely missed him, and I definitely regret letting him walk. And looking at what he did when he played with us, I mean, 51 catches, 771, and 8 touchdowns. He would have led our team in touchdowns this year again if he didn't walk. And one thing about him is that those stats, he actually didn't play 4 of the final 5 games of the season, and he put up those numbers. So we're going to try to bring him back. He is 31 years old, so I will only offer him a 1-year deal and then look at an extension later if he stays healthy and everything, if it all works out. I do want to take a look at left tackle. Like I said, I like Zach Tom, but I could use an upgrade. And David Bakhtiari is available, and he's pretty interested in signing with the Houston Oilers. And looking at what he has done in his career, well, he's been an All-Pro before, but he just hasn't stayed healthy. That's the big thing. He still does have the superstar dev trait, though, so he is still available. He has given up 5 sacks and 6 sacks, respectively, in this series. And you know, one thing I like about him is that he is elite. It's kind of hard to find those elite linemen, and because, you know, you can't train with linemen in Madden, you want to make sure you get some of the top guys, especially in the draft. But I think I want to address this via free agency, and he is very, very interested. So we offer him a huge contract, 2 years, close to $50 million. He's going to make about $22 million a year. That's going to be a pretty big contract we offer to him, and hopefully he does commit. The next guy I want to offer here is Zadarius Smith. I like Zadarius Smith a lot, and I think that he's going to be a guy that can be a mentor for our young pass rushers, and he has that mentor player tag. I mean, it's just a perfect world for us. He's not going to be our premier pass rusher, I don't think. I think those days are probably past him, but who knows? We've seen crazier things happen in Madden and in video games before, so he's going to get some playing time, and I'm going to offer him actually a pretty big contract, a 1-year, $13 million deal to officially bring us under that $50 million cap. So that will be a move that I will make. And I don't think I'm done on the defensive line. I want to look at other pieces. We have Jadeveon Clowney. We have Emmanuel Ogbah, who was here. Sam Hubbard was also there at the top. Obviously, Julian Okwara, his brother, is also available in free agency with the Okwara brothers. That would be interesting to bring in. They already are there in Detroit, though, so I don't know if I'm very, very interested there. I still need a defensive tackle. Also, I like Terrell Harvin, and in the offseason recap, or I guess in the regular season recap, we did talk about Harvin a little bit, but I do want to bring in help for him in the interior defensive line. But we still have the draft ahead. But the last guy I want to bring in this first round is a punter, because we did let go of Corliss Waitman, and why not bring in the number 2 punter? We have the cap space. We need to pay him. And look at the difference between the net average between Waitman and Tommy Townsend. It went from 38 to 47. That's a big difference. So we're definitely going to be looking to upgrade this position, and obviously it will help out the defense. And I think that this is a smart move. Bringing in a punter, it's not a glamour signing. It's not a sexy pick like you would say, but he's going to make some good money as a punter. We signed him to a very good contract. At least we offer it. We'll see if he signs, because he's not interested at all in us, but we had to overpay to get him. And here is what our first round looks like, and we will hit evaluate offers. DeAndre Hopkins, right now we are the top offer, and after evaluating offers, 2 of our guys disappear. Hopkins, Townsend, and Tonyan, the 3 guys that weren't really interested, remain here. But we do sign David Bakhtiari and Zadarius Smith to their contract. So we do have our left tackle along with a veteran pass rusher. So I'm very happy about that. But DeAndre Hopkins has a pretty big offer from the Carolina Panthers. So we have to up our offer. So we up it to 2 years, and this will pay him about over $20 million a year now. So we're up from 16 now at 20 million, and he is still in the same boat with us. It looks like the Carolina Panthers may have offered him something ridiculous. So we may need to look at other options in free agency or start looking at receivers in the draft. And I look at the other top receivers. I'm not a big fan of Keenan Allen, at least with our offense. I just don't think it's a fit. I want a guy that, is physical and can go up and get it, kind of like DeAndre Hopkins. And he is a great route runner, Keenan Allen is, but he's not very healthy either. So I am very, very weary about that. But we will address receiver in a little bit. We go to safety, and like I said, I want to add a safety, and I don't necessarily need to add like a big time safety, so I'm going to go after Caden Stearns. He's played his whole career with the Broncos so far. I think he's just a good depth safety, and if there's injuries, he can fill in. We did have Anthony Bishop there, the young second-year pro out of Virginia Tech, undrafted free agent, and we'll see what Caden Stearns can add to the secondary if he does sign with us. But I do decide to kind of shift some money around. And DeAndre Hopkins, while he's not accepting that offer, I could probably shift that to something else, which is a big need, and that's Joel Bitonio. Joel Bitonio has been a lifelong Cleveland Brown, and he has been great, and he is the number 2 rated guard in the game. So I think that it just makes sense to shift this money. If DeAndre Hopkins isn't going to take it, why not go after Bitonio? And I think that he will be an awesome fit on the offensive line next to David Bakhtiari. 2 years, $44 million. He's going to make some good coin, and he will be able to probably end his career with the Oilers. And we do end up reviewing and evaluating these offers, and Bitonio does sign, and along with Robert Tonyan, Caden Stearns, and Townsend, everybody signs except for DeAndre Hopkins, who is not on the board anymore, and he will sign with the Carolina Panthers, who offer him a pretty big contract. They offer him a 3-year deal worth around $40 million. I'm very, very surprised at that. I mean, that is kind of a contract that, maybe, I'm not even sure. I guess he just wanted the longevity. And I think that this is actually a pretty comparable contract that I would have offered him. I think they just gave him more years. I think that's the main thing. Well, so that sucks. And now we will be moving on to other receivers. And like I said, I can't spend that much more money on receivers because since we let DeAndre Hopkins go, we might have to stick with the receiving core we kind of already have and maybe add through the draft. So I decided to add Justin Ross in free agency, offer him a contract, a very minimal contract. This is only a 1-year, about $4 million contract. He ends up accepting that. And we do miss out on Hopkins, but we do get some pretty big signings here in free agency. And looking at the free agent recap, this offseason, a lot of teams didn't have a ton of money to spend in the AFC. We saw a lot of money in the NFC, obviously Hopkins. I'll have to try to figure out how much that actually is, because when I was looking at the game and when you offer a contract, it kind of says the bonus that you offer them, and that's kind of, they factor that in per year, and then they also do the salary. So it said $20 million in salary, and then when I looked at the contract, when you go to the main menu, when you're looking at a player, and it was actually less. So I'm very, very confused by that. I think it's the fact that, he's making $20 million and you split the bonus up between 3 years. So you're looking at that would be $6.5 million a year. So he'd really be making like $26.5 million a year over 3 years. I think that's what the contract that they offered him was. And that's including the bonus. So he would be making like $26 million a year, over a 3-year period, obviously, each year. So looking at the other recap here, in free agency, Justin Fields goes to the Rams. Sam Hubbard goes to the Tennessee Titans. Jadeveon Clowney and Isaiah Wynn both go to the Titans. So the Titans do add a lot of pieces. The Lions are always active in free agency. They sign a bunch of guys. And then Jordan Love ends up switching teams within the division. The Bears get him on a very cheap offer. I'm surprised that they would even go after him, especially after letting go of Fields. So looking into the NFL draft now, which is the next step here in the offseason, we are going to have 6 picks in the top 80. So we have a lot of flexibility in the draft. I am very, very excited. And we have a 6 and a 7, but we could use those to kind of move up in the draft. So we will have to see how that goes. And I think one thing that we're looking at here in this draft, now that we did pass up on receiver, we want to look at receiver, but I just don't think there's any, first round receiver talent. And then also I want to look at pass rush. We signed, Zadarius Smith, but he's not exactly a spring chicken, obviously. So we want to add him and some more pass rushers along with, guys that we find in the draft and guys that we find maybe picking up after free agency, after the offseason. Maybe there's some guys hanging around in free agency that we can add. But there are a couple of guys I want to get closer scouting on. Jalen Thomas is interesting. And then Keon Carter is also another interesting guy at quarterback. We want to make sure that we are still scouting quarterbacks here. And then I want to make sure that we really find out what we can here in the kind of private workouts phase. We find out that Jalen Thomas is actually a very good pass rusher. A, power moves, B, finesse, B, awareness, B, block shedding. He's not the most athletic of all of the pass rushers, but he is 21 years old. He has all of the pass rushing traits. So I really, really like what he brings. I do decide to use Trayvon Kellum as one of our focus players. I was interested because the mock draft said that we might go after him. I did have him favorited, and I wanted to see how good he was. He has a block shedding. Pretty good. I don't know if he will be our pick there because he might fall to the second round. Now that we have that first pick of the second round, he might fall. And then Keon Carter, I was just interested because no other quarterbacks are projected to go in the first round in that mock draft. And I wanted to see how far these quarterbacks could potentially fall. So here we go. We start the NFL draft. And like last year, I'm going to be looking to kind of be very active because I want to see what happens. And if we have to move up, we will. And with the number 1 overall pick, the Lions will select Matthew Pitts out of Auburn. And he is a pass rusher who will get after the quarterback next to Aiden Hutchinson. That's a very good pick. The Green Bay Packers, who are rumored to be in the QB market after letting Jordan Love go, they go with Brandon Lawrence, the cornerback out of Colorado. A very good man cover and zone cover cornerback. He can kind of do it all. But with the number 3 overall pick, the Saints are on the clock, and I know they are looking at one of these pass rushers. I think it's going to be Kevin Jones, but I am very, very interested in Eddie Lockridge out of Ohio State. The only thing about Kevin Jones is that he was injured on this play in the rain, and he did not return at all in the season. He decided to sit out for the rest of the year to avoid getting hurt. But Eddie Lockridge is on the board here, and he has a finesse moves. I really like his athleticism. He is the most athletic linebacker in the draft, and I decide to let them pick, and they select Eddie Lockridge. I could not believe it. We did it again. Last year it was Chris Blackburn. This year it was Eddie Lockridge. I was really locked on Eddie Lockridge. I thought he was going to be the most athletic linebacker in this draft to get after the quarterback, and we let him go. So the next couple teams need a lot more than just pass rushers, so I decide to, pass on Dexter Greco here, going number 4 overall. He was out of Ole Miss. The Giants need a lot of pieces. I don't think they're going to go after any pass rushers that we're interested in. They go after Dorian Odom, who is the best running back in the draft, but they already have Saquon Barkley. They may be looking to move on from Barkley, and they select Odom with this pick. I think that maybe they're going into more of a rebuilding state. They have Daniel Jones, but it just hasn't worked out. Remember, the Commanders went to the Super Bowl. The Eagles already won a Super Bowl. Maybe they're just looking to start over in the NFC East. That's a big surprise there. But then there brings the Houston Texans, and I don't think they would go pass rusher here. They have enough. They have Will Anderson. They also have Max Crosby on their roster. I think that this could be an interesting spot to trade up to because they did draft Eric Choice in the first round last year, another pass rusher. He was picked number 4 overall. And one guy we have our eye on here that we don't want to lose out on. We already lost out on Lockridge, is Nick Woods. Nick Woods is super athletic out of Alabama. He is one of the best pass rushers in this draft, and I think that allowing him to fall one more spot to the Colts would be a mistake, because the Colts have a lot of issues getting after the passer. Yeah, they have Kwity Paye, they have other young pass rushers, but nobody as good as Nick Woods. So I am deciding to trade with the Houston Texans, the Houston on Houston action here, and we will trade one of our second round picks and our first round pick, number 15. So the Texans will move back 9 spots, and we will trade our second round pick, and they will accept the first offer we give them. So the Texans surrender that number 6 pick, and we are running up the card to the podium here, and we will be selecting Nick Woods out of Alabama with our first pick of this first round. 6'4", 246. He is 21 years old. He's got awesome intangibles as well. He can get after the quarterback. When we were going to scout Deshaun out of Auburn, the quarterback, Deshaun Mitchell, I had my eye on number 99. He was getting after the quarterback, and I just had to scout him a little further, and he looks like the real deal. And we do get a awesome pass rusher with our first pick of this first round. Remember, we have pick number 22 as well. So I don't know what we're going to do with that second pick, but we'll see who falls to us. Zaire Boss, who was the Lombardi Trophy winner at Auburn, goes number 11. I was interested in him, but he does end up going, about a couple of picks higher than what I thought he would go. But that's okay, because there are a lot of pass rushers in this draft still. Cornerback and pass rush is really the two strengths of this draft. And looking at what the rest of the teams are doing, Doug Bass goes to the Texans. So the Texans trade back and they select a defensive tackle. I do want a defensive tackle, but it's not the most immediate need on our team. So then we look at where the Broncos are sitting, and they are sitting, right after the Texans in the draft. Do they need a receiver? No. So I don't think they're really going to go after receiver. But do they need pass rusher? I think they do. I look at their defensive line. They have a big need at defensive tackle. They have Randy Gregory, who is aging. They have Baron Browning, who is decent, but not necessarily a great pass rusher. And the Bills have the pick right before them. And I have Bernard McMichael, Patrick Mahomes, and also Justin Herbert in the division. We need to be able to get after the quarterback. So we decide to offer the Bills our first round pick, number 22, a 7th round pick this year, and a 3rd round pick next year, and Zach Tom, and they will accept that trade. Now, they were a lot more stingy than the other trades we made so far in the offseason, but we get the deal done. And we run up to the table and select Von Cross, the pass rusher out of Georgia. Now, Von Cross had a talent grade of around 2 to 3, but we're not going to fall for that trick again here in this draft. Now, Chris Blackburn was around 1 to 2. He was actually the best player in the draft in season 1. So I don't necessarily agree with that. I look at Von Cross, and he is just an athletic freak. He can do everything. He can get after the quarterback. He can stop the run. He has A, awareness, B, block shedding, A, finesse moves. I think that he could even be better than Nick Woods. So we will select 2 pass rushers. They will rush opposite edge of each other, and we get our 2 guys in this draft. I am very, very excited about that. So looking at the rest of the picks here in the first round, I don't think we're going to be looking to trade up here because we got what we needed. Our first 2 picks were pass rushers. I think those were our best or biggest 2 needs in this draft, and I'm glad to add, like I said, some elite pass rushers in the draft. Last year we waited to the 4th round to start getting those pass rushers, but this year we decided to get them early in the first. We traded up for both, and I'm really excited about those 2. We then have the number 1 pick in the 2nd round after trading Dorian Thompson Robinson. And there are some quarterbacks here, and no quarterbacks go in the first round at all. So we have our official pick of the litter. And remember, the Packers have the second pick in the second round. So they are picking right behind us, and they did not elect to get a quarterback in free agency, so they will surely draft a quarterback. So the top 3 quarterbacks: Kirk Goodrich, the big lefty out of Alabama. He's got a big arm, but his accuracy isn't the greatest. Then there's Deshaun Mitchell, the dual threat quarterback out of Auburn. But have we seen this type of quarterback before with DTR? Do we do that again? Then there's Keon Carter, the quarterback out of Tennessee. Very, very accurate from the pocket, isn't very mobile, but can make all of the throws. And then there's Greg McPherson, the small school big arm quarterback. Who do we select? Keon Carter was the best quarterback at the NFL Scouting Combine. He made all the throws. His accuracy was on full display. He also showed a surprisingly strong arm. He has B accuracy deep, B accuracy medium, and A accuracy short. One thing that we have been missing in this series has been an accurate quarterback who can make all of the throws, and we will select Keon Carter to be our quarterback of the franchise. Well, here it is. We've been waiting all this time to find our guy, and we have found it here, not even in the first round, at the top of the second. I couldn't be more excited to have him in the building. And then right on cue, right after that, the Green Bay Packers select Deshaun Mitchell. So I knew they were going to go quarterback. I didn't know who, and I'm glad we traded up and in this draft to, get that number 1 pick ahead of the Packers, and we get to select our guy. So with pick number 15 in the second round, I think I want to get interior defensive line. I look at Gabriel Carter. He is one of the guys we favorited. He is pretty athletic, very strong. He's got elite speed for a defensive tackle. Great jumping. That doesn't really mean much, but great strength. He has C block shedding, though, which is pretty low, but A power moves, A play recognition, only D tackling. So very, very interesting, build that we see from him, but I'm very intrigued by that A power moves. But there's one other guy I really, really like at this pick, and it's Alani Rutherford. If you look at the bottom right, the strongest position is in this class is DB, and if I find an elite DB, I should probably go after him. And I think stopping the pass was something we struggled with last year. So we will add to our cornerback room and select Alani Rutherford out of USC. One of the best man cover cornerbacks in the draft. He is incredible, and he's got amazing speed. And one thing I like about him is that there's not going to be many guys that can run past him. There's not going to be many at all. Casey Burton was getting burnt a little bit last year. I hope that doesn't repeat itself with Rutherford. These guys are pretty much a very, very similar mold. And I'm hoping that adding that third cornerback to this room, we now lock down our 3 cornerbacks in the secondary and allow Micah Hyde to move back to free safety, to not be that nickel cornerback in this defensive backfield. Right on cue in the third round, Gabriel Carter goes to the Packers. So the Packers are kind of, mad that they're picking right behind us in this draft. And they have picked everybody we've been interested in. And we move on to the third round, pick number 15. And we do have our only pick in the third, fourth, or fifth rounds in this draft coming up here. And there is one guy I am eyeing here, and I believe he is the best receiver, at least that I evaluated in the draft, and it's Quincy Hall. 6'3". He's got pretty good speed. His acceleration is marginal, though. Very, very interested. He's slow to get off the line, but he does have, I believe, a release. But he is a big, big target, and I'm hoping that he will turn into that number 1 wide receiver we've been looking for in this receiving core. And he will play next to Marvin Mims. So we have the size across from the speed. He's got a spectacular catch, a catching, a release. And I'm really, really excited to develop him. I think he's going to be a very good receiver with us. And he will be playing with, his maybe rival a little bit in playing against, our quarterback in Tennessee. So it's going to be interesting, but I'm excited to see what he can do. He's a different type of mold that we've had at receiver in this series. So in the 6th round, as we did trade our 7th round pick, this is our only remaining pick. And we're kind of taking a guess here and taking a flyer on a defensive end. And I wanted to go defensive tackle, but there aren't many left. So I decided to go defensive end and look at Alex Volk out of TCU. And nothing really jumps off to me. I'm just hoping to maybe catch a diamond in the rough here. And that pick will conclude our draft. Alex Volk looks like a normal development. He looks okay, not great. Hopefully that power moves ends up being an A. That would be the most ideal thing. But that will conclude the NFL draft. So now let's look at our draft picks. And with our number 1 pick number 6, we select Nick Woods out of Alabama. He is 21 years old, 6'4", 246. He is hidden dev traits as well. He comes in with 84 speed, 77 finesse moves, 76 block shedding. I was imagining that his overall would be a little higher, but I can't be too mad. I mean, this isn't too bad. His power moves, I wish were a little higher. We knew it was going to be a C coming in. He does have the day 1 starter tag, and he will rush off of the right edge as a right outside linebacker. So that's going to be pretty fun to see 2 tandem rookie pass rushers across from each other. Von Cross has a very, very similar build to Nick Woods. I'm interested to see what Eddie Lockridge looks like, because Von Cross and, like I said, Nick Woods look very, very similar. And I love that. Both guys are going to be guys that can develop. They're both hidden dev traits, so hopefully they could both potentially be superstar or even X Factor. I'm not sure if they'll be X Factor though. The one thing about Keon Carter, who was our first pick of the 2nd round, is that he is normal development. But one thing that he can do is sling the ball all over the yard. He has 95 throw power. I did not actually realize that he had that elite throw power. I thought it was going to be like 92, 93. 95 is very, very good, and his accuracy across the board is really good as well. Our highest overall draft pick, though, was Alani Rutherford. We knew the strongest position in this draft was at cornerback, but I did not think it was this strong, because there were a lot of cornerbacks who went in the first 3 rounds, and seeing that Rutherford was 78 overall, 79 with morale, that's pretty good. His man coverage is already in the 80s. Quincy Hall comes in actually a bit higher than what I thought as well. He comes in at 76 overall, and he is actually higher than Von Cross and Nick Woods. And looking at what he can do best, his spectacular catch is 88. His release is 85. These are really good ratings for a 6'3" rookie receiver. And then there's Alex Volk, who was our 6th round pick. Yeah, he's kind of what we thought he would be. I was hoping that the power moves would be an A, but it looks like it probably was a C or a D. So looking at the number 1 pick, Matthew Pitts, he's not that much better than Von Cross and Nick Woods. He's really good, but very, very similar mold. I mean, he has maybe more speed, but that's about it. I would say, we actually made out pretty well. Brandon Lawrence, though, is amazing, though. 80 overall. He looks to be generational. 82 zone, 78 man. He looks really, really good. Very fast, good size. He looks like he can do it all. Eddie Lockridge. Let's see what he's got. 72 block shedding, 77 finesse moves, 85 speed, 91 acceleration. And like I said, I think that all these guys were just very, very similar. And we got 2 of them. I don't think... I made a mistake there. Now looking at his ratings, Eddie Lockridge looks just like the guys we selected. The Giants selected Dorian Odom, who looks really good. Like, he looks close to generational, but I don't think he's quite generational. I think you have to be at least 80 overall to be generational, but he's the closest thing here in the top 8 picks. But then Lonnie Branson was 80 overall. He was picked at number 9 as a right guard. He is a generational guard. Jalen Thomas, who we did the private workout with, looks really, really good. He is not the most athletic guy, but he has 83 power moves. That's the highest I've seen from anybody as far as finesse and power in this draft. And we did do the evaluation on him. We decided not to draft him, and I'm maybe regretting that a little bit. I liked what I see from Jalen a little bit. Jalen Thomas out of Oregon. Trayvon Kellum actually ends up being okay. I want to check out Deshaun Mitchell, though, because the Packers did select him here at the second pick of the second round, and he is hidden dev. If there's one difference between him and Keon Carter, it is that hidden dev trait, but I think that the accuracy isn't there for me. Like, I'm glad we went with Keon Carter because we can at least get, have some string of good games together, and we can possibly get a dev trait upgrade. I think that's one thing I'm going to try to do. And then they have the quarterback, Kirk Goodrich, who went to the Arizona Cardinals in the second round. He's decent also, but the accuracy just isn't there. But Greg McPherson ends up being really good. 92 throw power. I actually thought that he had a stronger arm than Keon Carter, but I guess not. But his accuracy is really good. In my opinion, Greg McPherson is probably the second best quarterback out of all three of these guys. I think we did draft the best quarterback, though, in Keon Carter. The Chargers ended up selecting some really good players in the top three. They drafted Cummings, who's a guard. He is 78 overall, 79 with his morale. He is already the number 13 ranked left guard in the league, so they had a very good draft. The Chiefs end up selecting 276 overall cornerbacks. Just to show you how great this quarterback class was, the Chiefs select two really good ones. 82 zone coverage for their first round pick, and then Julius Moreland was their third round pick. He has 83 man. So very, very deep cornerback class, as you could see. And then the Broncos ended up, having a kind of, I would say, the worst draft out of anybody in the division. But I think that, they will still probably be really good in this series. So we have our work cut out for us. So we addressed a lot of things in the offseason. We addressed free agency. We got a couple of good offensive linemen. We did miss out on DeAndre Hopkins, but we did get a receiver in the draft. We drafted 2 pass rushers that are going to be rookies and will develop together. I'm excited for the future, and I want you guys to let me know what you guys thought of the offseason and what grade you would give us. But I'm excited for season 3, and usually I kind of skim through preseason, so we could hop straight into the regular season right away. But let me know what you guys thought of the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys watched the whole video, I appreciate it. Hit subscribe, hit that like button. We'll be back for season 3 already. Stay tuned. Let's get it. Let's go.
I hope the rain don't come in November, 'cause the summer went way too fast. I'm trying real hard to remember all of the good times.